What's up YouTube, it's System Wave, and today I wanted to talk to you about the Xbox Series S and why I think it's actually one of the best next-gen consoles that are out right now. So to start off, of course I wanted to showcase to you reason number one, the SSD drive. Now let's showcase to you Mortal Kombat and just the loading times. So again, Mortal Kombat's booted up. And let's go to something that's maybe, texture heavy, which is the crypt. Looks about like 3 seconds to upload. Oh, what do you know? I have a Chronica orb here. I'm already in the crypt. I got a Liu Kang skin. I'm ready to go. I mean, I just booted up and it took 3 seconds to get into the crypt. Whereas before it probably took somewhere around 5 to 7 seconds. But 3 seconds and you're in the game. That's fantastic. Let's give another instance of loading up a match in Mortal Kombat. So, I mean, I can go to any one of these maps and they'll load pretty much the same. Let's go to Shang Tsung's Island. I mean, it's really amazing to me to see the loading times going from previous gen consoles to now. It's just blazing fast. I mean, I'm already in the game. There's times where I'm like, okay, we're already in the game, and I'm surprised I'm here. I'm actually waiting for the game to load, and it has already loaded probably like 2 seconds ago. So alright, so I'm currently loading Immortal Combat. I had some other games that were loaded previously too. Let's just check out the Tourist and see how it handles the quick resume feature, which is a nice feature of the SSD and the architecture of the Xboxes. Now I didn't quit out of some of the games I loaded up, like this game and Halo, but we're here, and I think the reason why it took so long is because this is another game that's stored in the quick resume feature. But it's nice to have to not navigate to the menus and start up and kind of continue, load point or whatnot. Even if the SSD, even if you have the SSD, it basically gives you the option to say, hey, look, let's skip all that. Let's skip it and just get straight to where you were. Okay, let's load up Halo, and I think that might have been in a quick resume state. So the reason why I think this one takes more priority in loading is because it's a bigger game and probably has more to store on the quick resume side of things. But here I'm already loaded. I'm in the menus. I'm ready to boot up. I can play a multiplayer match real quick if I want to. And again, that's based off of matchmaking and the online experience. But I'm already in the game. I'm already loaded, and I think that's kind of neat. So on the other side of that for the Series S specifically is that you will not have a lot of storage for this system. If we go and we check out our storage devices alone, you can see that I have 2 drives here, one internal, one external. Now the SSD drive is at 53%. I've already almost filled it up, and you can see right off the bat I only have 364 gigabytes of usable space, half of that being used on only 3 games. So now, but depending on the title, your experience is going to vary. If you want to play something like the Master Chief Collection on the Series S, you're basically going to lose about half the storage space. You can see right away this is 116 gigabytes worth of information. In Mortal Kombat, if you go the full 4K experience, it's going to be probably an additional 20 gigabytes worth of space. So on the other side of things, I do have my external SSD, and here I've got a lot more places to store stuff. Some of the games you can play are obviously games that are optimized for the new consoles. You can't play them, but you can store them if you want to come back to them, and it's a really good way to manage your items. If you have an SSD lying around, grab one, because the Xbox will benefit from it being a SSD, and if you convert it with a USB 3, then it will still benefit even further. So, I mean, as you can see here, all my little mini games, they probably add up to maybe about 20 gigabytes. The Forza stored game is 71 gigabytes, and Resident Evil is about 50 gigabytes, right? So all in all, it's a good option for you to employ even a mechanical drive. If you wanted to store a bunch of games on a drive, you can use a mechanical drive with maybe 2 terabytes. Obviously, you wouldn't be benefiting from the speeds of an SSD, but I choose to have an SSD to kind of maintain that higher loading speeds ability. Resident Evil is running off the SSD. Let's just see how it loads. So one thing to note is that Resident Evil had excellent loading times to start. If I go in here and I continue, you'll notice that it goes from 10% to 90%, and that's something that existed in the previous consoles, and I've always praised Capcom for being able to, capture the method of delivery as far as loading times goes, be it on the SSD or mechanical drive. I remember when I was playing Resident Evil 2, I really didn't have to spend a lot of time waiting as well on just a mechanical drive. So all in all, being able to play on an SSD drive that kind of maintains that same architecture with playing on an internal drive, and I would say even faster, than the next gen, than the last gen consoles off an external drive. I would say that's quite impressive. So with that said, these are some of the items that I wanted to highlight, kind of a good and bad side of the SSD. Storage being kind of on the negative side. There are options to kind of compensate for that negative. You can buy an additional SSD at a low cost. I'm only using a 256 SSD because it was just lying around, but they're fairly cheap. You can probably find an SSD 500 gigabyte for maybe $50. And on the positive side of things for the Series S, you have a great internal NVMe drive that loads optimized games at a really high rate. You're not going to do a lot of waiting, and I think that's kind of where the next gen experience lies. So my final thoughts on the Xbox Series S. My opinion on what makes the next gen consoles next gen is, for one, the Xbox architecture, their management of your experience. Are you in and out? Are you blazing fast? To have the Series S and for it to kind of give you this next gen experience, and you're really not missing out on much, putting this kind of package together into this small form factor, for me, that alone is all worthwhile. Now, I'm pretty sure going forward into the future, when we do see some heavy games that take advantage of the 4K, I think we'll see some bottlenecking in the Series S. And again, I think that's going to be based on artistic direction of the developers going forward. But for now, if we're gauging the performance on what the capacity is for current developers and for the current gen games, I think for now it's actually not that bad. Now, I have big hopes for the Series S. I highly recommend it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you guys in the next video.